So what's up everybody, this is Peter aka CodingMadeEasy coming to you guys with a brand new tutorial series, and in this tutorial series we are going to be learning about OpenGL. So this is a long awaited tutorial series and I'm finally going to be teaching it to you guys. So before we dive right into this, I just wanted to tell you guys the my two goals for this tutorial series. My first goal is that I want you guys by the end of this tutorial series to not just know how to use OpenGL, but to have a basic understanding of how graphics work. So a good foundational knowledge about how graphics work. So whether you decide to move on to DirectX, Vulkan, any other 3D API, you will understand fundamentally how graphics work. So that's my first aim. The second aim is that I want to make this as easy as possible. As you guys know, I've been doing this for years, trying to make complex subjects as easy as possible, so I'm going to be doing the same with this tutorial series. As many of you know, once OpenGL went to OpenGL 3, they sort of dismantled the fixed function pipeline and they sort of adopted the core profile, which means that you have more control over the GPU now, but it requires you to actually understand how graphics work in order for you to actually do something of substance, right? And so with that added flexibility comes with a lot of complexity, and my goal is to make it not very complex. My goal is to make it as simple as possible so you guys can dive right in, learn some 3D concepts, and make some great games after this tutorial series is done. So without further ado, let's dive right in. So for this tutorial series, we are going to be using SFML with OpenGL. We're going to be using SFML to handle all the stuff that OpenGL doesn't deal with. So keyboard events, mouse events, actually having a window to draw inside, and so on and so forth. The stuff that are a bit either that OpenGL can't do or a little bit cumbersome in OpenGL, we're going to be using SFML to sort of offset that. But the core of the tutorial series is not SFML. The core is OpenGL, so do not worry about that. You can also use SDL, Allegro, anything else that allows you, or like you can use Glut, which is very popular in order to render your window and handle these events. You can use any application you want, but for this tutorial series we're going to be using SFML because I believe it's easy to catch on to and it's easy to see what's going on. So anyways, I'm done with my rambling. Let's actually jump right in. So first and foremost, we need to install two different things. So we have SFML and we need to install Glue. So SFML, as of this tutorial, we are at version 2.4.2. Now, I'm using Visual Studio 2017 Community Edition. The 2015 binary seems to work for that, so if you're using 2017, you can do that. So you can download whichever one for your Visual Studio version, whether it's 32-bit or 64-bit, and you can download that. And we're also going to be using Glue. So Glue Glue does a bunch of different things, but basically Glue, the main thing that Glue allows us to do is basically, without it, we would have to write a lot of boilerplate code for some of the OpenGL functions and so on and so forth. And having this library here just makes things a lot easier on us when actually writing OpenGL code. So we're going to download the latest version. As of this tutorial, we're on version 2.0.0. And then I just selected the Windows 32-bit and 64-bit binaries. So when you download those two, you're going to get a zip file. And for SFML, it's going to look like this. And for Glue, it's going to look something like this. Inside, something like this. Sorry. Inside these folders, you might see a bunch of different folders, but the only ones that we care about are bin, include, and lib. So same thing for Glue. So I want you to extract these parent folders anywhere you want. I decided to put them in my external folder. So I have SFML there and glue there. So once you've done that, what we're going to do is we're going to open Visual Studio and we're going to actually get started. So I think I have Visual Studio open, and we're going to do File, New Project. And in this project, we're going to do a C++ console application. And you can save it wherever you want and call it whatever you want. I'm going to call it OpenGL Made Easy, and I'm going to click OK. I'm going to click Next, and then select an empty project and click Finish. So we're just going to wait for this to actually create the project. While it's creating the project, if you guys haven't already, check the description for the Discord community. If you guys have any questions or concerns or just want to talk with me or anybody else in the community, feel free to join. And if you have Facebook, you can like the Facebook page, or if you have Twitter, you can follow on Twitter. And if you guys want to get tutorials early, there's always the Patreon that you can subscribe to in the description. So anyways, now this is open, we can right click on the project itself and go to properties. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the linker and we're going to click general, and we're going to say additional library directories. And my configuration is all configurations, platforms is all platforms. So we're going to click the arrow, click edit, we're going to double click and then click the 3 dots. So I'm going to go to my external folder, and I'm going to go to SFML 2.4.2 and then click lib and then select that folder. And I'm going to do a similar thing with glue. We're going to click lib, but we need to go in the release folder, and since I'm on a 64-bit machine, I'm going to select x64 and then select the folder. Now we can check to see what's inside these folders quickly. So if we check in there, we can see we have a bunch of lib files in there, and the same thing with glue. So didn't mean to do that. And same thing there, we have a set of lib files there. So we're going to be linking to some of the lib files in those folders I showed you. So to do that, we got to go to input, under additional dependencies, we're going to click edit, and we're going to type in glue32.lib, OpenGL32.lib, SFML-graphics.lib, SFML-window.lib, and then SFML-system.lib. Now, if I went too fast, feel free to pause the video at certain parts to make sure you got all of this text, but I can see if I can increase the window so you can see it all, so you can pause it and read it. So if you guys are attentive, you might have noticed that there was no actual OpenGL32.lib file in any of those lib folders as I showed you. So you might be wondering where we get it from. Well, on your operating system, there's an OpenGL runtime that comes with your operating system. So as long as you're running an operating system, then you have OpenGL. So, but if you're on Mac or Linux, you're going to have to link to, I think it's called gl.lib. Don't quote me on that, but you're going to have to link to a different library than the one that is seen here. So for those of you who are C or C++ programmers and have included something, you might be wondering where the C configuration stuff is. Because we haven't actually created a CPP file or anything, there's nothing that tells Visual Studio that we're actually using C++. So we're going to just add the main.cpp file and just wait for it to create it. Sorry, my computer is just really, like, it's aging. So we're going to go back to properties, and as you can see, we have C++ for our configurations. So once we click that, we can go to general or whatever, the same page. And in the additional include directories, we're going to click edit. And we're going to do the same thing that we did before, but instead of going to lib folders, we're going to go, and let me copy this. We're going to go to the include folders. So I'm going to select that for SFML. And for glue, we're going to do the same thing. Select that folder and click OK. And that is it. So basically that's it. So we're just going to be writing a quick some quick code just to test to see if everything is configured correctly. If it is configured correctly, then it should work. And sorry about that. So first of all, we're just going to include the IO stream. Then we're going to include sfml/graphics.hpp. HPP, sorry. And include gl glue.h. Cool. So, and don't worry if you haven't used SFML or anything, don't worry, I'm going to even if you don't understand everything in this tutorial, we're going to walk through everything in a later tutorial, but I'll try to explain things quickly. So we're going to create a render window. So this is the window where everything is actually going to be displayed in. The window takes a something called the video mode, and you just got to specify the dimensions of your window. So we're going to say 800 by 600. We're going to specify the title of our window, so I'm just going to say OpenGL made easy. And then for the third parameter, we're just going to put the style. We're just going to set it to default. And then the last parameter requires our context settings. So above this, we're going to create a variable of type context settings. And I'm just going to name it settings. And we're going to put a few settings. So the major version is going to be set to 3. Minor version is set to 3. And the depth bits is going to be set to 24. So we're going to be using OpenGL 3.3. Now you might be asking, why are we not using the latest version of OpenGL? Just because OpenGL 3 is when everything was everything basically changed. So the concepts are the same. So the concepts are going to remain the same no matter which OpenGL version you use past 3. The only thing that might change is things that make stuff easier or so on and so forth, but the concepts are going to remain the same. But a lot of games and stuff might use OpenGL 3 instead of the latest OpenGL version, just because to be compatible with all systems. So, but just understanding how it works on a low level, you should be able to adapt to whatever OpenGL version you want. So if you guys want to use the latest OpenGL version, feel free. But in this tutorial series, we're just going to be using 3.3 to make it simpler for everybody who's going to be watching this tutorial. So yeah, now that we've gotten that, we're just gonna do window.setActive to true to make that the active window. We are going to say glue experimental to true. We have to set this to true to get a lot of the core profile functionality. And then we're gonna do a GL enum. So this is we're going to set it to results, and we're going to say glue init. So this is just going to initialize glue, and we're just going to do we're going to check to see if everything was okay. And if it's not okay, sorry, so not equal to okay, and we're going to output glue get error string. And we're just gonna put the result in there, and then that's it. And we probably want to put a message before, like glue failed to initialize. So one thing that you might notice is like from now on, the OpenGL is gonna look very C-like. It's because OpenGL is built on top of C. That is to make it easier for compatibility reasons, since C is very simple to actually use. So OpenGL, yeah, it's built on top of C. So although we're using C++, it's going to look very C-like, if that makes sense. So after we do that and we confirm everything is good, we're just going to say while window is open. So this is our game loop. So while the window is open, we want to loop forever. So inside here, we're going to create an S of event. So an S of event is basically an event that happens on our window. So we're going to say while window.pull event EV. So this is going to pull all the events that are actually happening. So it's sort of like a messaging event system. So we're going to loop through all the events that happened or that are currently happening. If the event type is equal to SF event close, so if they close the window or they press the X button on the window, then we want to close the window. Cool. And then at the end here, we're just going to say window.display. So that's going to display our window. And at the end, we're just going to put return 0. So if everything went well, we should be able to run things. And we're just going to say yes. And let's wait. We're just going to be waiting forever and ever. And as you can see, we get a bunch of linker errors. That's because I am on an x64 system, but I'm running on x86. So I'm just going to switch it to x64. I'm going to run this again. And if everything goes well, we should see a black window and a console window as well. So everything didn't go well. And why didn't everything go well? Well, remember when I showed you before that we had the bin, include, and lib folders? I didn't forget about those. So because we are using the dynamic DLLs, we have to put the DLLs in the actual output folder where the exe lies. So if we were to use the static libraries, the libraries would be included as part of the exe. But since we are not doing that, we got to copy our binary files to the project folder. So, or to this folder where the exe lies. So in here for glue, I'm just going to go to bin release x64, and as you can see, there's a DLL there. And let me see if I can open up my project. So my project is in here, and my output file, my exe, is in x64 debug, so I'm going to place the DLL in there. And then for SFML, I'm going to do the same thing. So we linked to window, so -2, we don't need the -d. So we linked to system, and we also linked to graphics. So we want to copy those, and we want to paste these in there. And then when we run this program, we run it again, we should get a black window or a blank window. So it's just loading symbols, as you can see in the bottom left corner. This is taking a while. I probably shouldn't have run this in debug mode for right now. Okay, I'm just gonna pause, and when we get something, then you'll see it. So this is what you'll get. You get a black window, and you'll get your console window. So you can close either one, and that will fire the close event, which will close the window. So if that worked for you, that means everything is set up correctly. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys in the next video. So don't forget to comment and subscribe. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and bye for now.